us after 4.5 years. Every issue, we're never sure whether we would come. I've been here running around for a week, getting people, getting sponsors. But as at now, as at the time I'm speaking to you, I probably have five clients. And with 5 clients, we're not able to print. So
there is nothing I do like copying anyone. The way I sound here is the way I rap. Yeah, that's it. This is all I do.
One-on-one, Monday to Friday at 6:30 p.m. with me, Eugene Anangwe, only on 89.7 Contact FM.
All right, welcome to One-on-One. Very many greetings, and of course, it's been a long time coming. We are back on air, and of course, Happy New Year to those who we're getting to interact for the very first time this year, 2015. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Of course, this is One-on-One, and of course, we are going to be listening and talking to one Charles Haba. We know him as the founder of the Rwanda Cricket Association. He's also the managing director of Century Real Estate, a leading property firm in Rwanda. Plus, of course, we understand from the issues of Crossfire, right here on Contact FM, very popular radio host. Of course, many people have questions. Haba, what really happened? Why did you go off air? Maybe today we'll be able to have answers to some of these and more. Let's start from there. The moving off air part, of Charles Haba. Is there anything that is specific that you'd like to mention that for those who have never had an answer to that question?
For starters, Happy New Year, Eugene.
Happy New Year, brother.
Let's take it from the way you introduced me with all that I have on my plate. So it is, I'm sure, very understandable that I could not get enough time to continue doing extra. I think my plate was full. The family was growing, also asking for my Sundays, and I think I had enough on my plate, especially with my business growing and going on. And yeah, it's unfortunate. I must also confess that I think I get to miss the studio sometimes. So it feels nice to be back in the studio. Honestly, yes. So hopefully, I might come back soon. I'm not too sure. No commitments yet, but as of now,
the year is still
yes, yeah.
But then there are those who are arguing and probably speculating and saying, you know what, maybe this guy, because he was too vocal, too hard when it came to the hard talk show here on Contact FM. Maybe that's why you decided to say, okay, you know what, let me pull off this.
No, I have gotten those comments as well. I've gotten those requests from people.
No one threatened you?
Yeah. But just to set the record straight, I was never threatened. I was never politely asked to stop the show. So it is none of that. Of course, there will be some people clapping their hands, the usual suspects that who keep blaming Rwanda for being media vultures, who might have gotten an opportunity to make some more noise.
But you see, Haba is now off air. But then,
no, that wasn't the case.
Knowing the profile of a show like Crossfire, it's one of those shows where, you go hard on some of the guests on the show, and then the next day, looking at your other hats of being that entrepreneur, being that business person, you find yourself the next day knocking at the same person's door for business. And did you ever have that tough moment where you see on a past Sunday, you are with this person on air, doing your thing, and honorably doing it so in a way that you ask them the tough questions and probably feel offended by the way you either exposed them, and the next time you go meet them now as Charles Haba, the entrepreneur in real estate, to ask for business or to talk business, and they push you away and tell you, remember what you did to me on the show. Did you ever experience that kind of thing?
To the contrary, Eugene, no, it actually worked in my favor.
Really?
Because you'd knock at a door for a business deal, and the voice is familiar, the face is familiar, and it helps a lot. But honestly, sometimes you get caught in a difficult moment if you're unable to draw a line between your business and growing it and your other side, your what you do out of your business hours. So I had to really make a call and say, you know, I'm going to concentrate on my business. You'd step into a meeting that's supposed to last not more than 30 minutes. 20 minutes are spent talking about the previous crossfire, and the 10 minutes of business are left to the 10 minutes are left to business. So it is a bit of a road deal, and yet actually you are there for the business, and the business is going to earn you more money than this pastime that you're doing on your Sunday afternoon. So it comes to a point when you have to make a call and know which side of the bread is buttered.
So without mincing your words and without also being diplomatic, no one ever refused you business because of a past experience with you on air?
Never.
If this was to happen, what would you have done? How would you have handled that?
I think it's difficult for me to answer that question because, first of all, it never happened to me. Yet I think under normal circumstances,
you never anticipated for that. I'm sure.
Yes,
you may have anticipated.
I would have anticipated that.
Yes.
But by virtue of the fact that it never happened. Then probably if it would have happened, then I would have said probably that's not the right kind of business I should be chasing.
Yeah. True. Now, I'm sure with your experience being on air on talk shows, because I'm sure that those who listen and that, like, I used to be an ardent fan of Charles Haba, for example, and I really want to be like him. Or probably they listen to others and they're like, you know, I wish we had someone like Charles Haba. So you, maybe when you're listening to radio and maybe watching talk shows here in Rwanda or driving your car and you're listening to a talk show, what is it that you hear some of us do that you feel like, listen to this, I wish they did it this way? What are those things that we are doing wrong from your experience?
I think I made a few mistakes of having not listened to myself as often as I should have, so to be able to compare. But I don't want, first of all, I'll take it as a compliment from you, Eugene, that you would have preferred that I continue being on air and probably that some shows were run the way I was running it. But I think, and this is not unique to the media industry, to the radio industry.
Yes.
Across board, we still need more debate, more engaging programs, more engaging fora. It's fantastic that the social media is really alive and kicking, and everybody is on social media. It's an extremely engaging weapon. And talking about engaging, the programs that you have to some of the presenters are not as engaging as I think the listeners would like them to be. And I think the other thing also is to do with not allowing the host to go into a comfort zone and dominate the show, because some of the programs you listen to, they degenerate into a monologue
where the officials are the ones who are talking more than the host doing this. And part of the blame here, in your opinion, is what? What do you think is causing this? And do you see a growth beyond this anytime soon?
You know, it is very easy to be intimidated, Eugene, you and I know. It is very easy to be intimidated when you're on air. So if you're the kind that is easily intimidated, then the show will degenerate into a monologue. So I think that is one of the things why you have that kind of scenario. But the other thing also is assertive presenters, assertive hosts who should be in a position to
command authority when it is a show that they are hosting.
Yeah,
true. Talking of intimidation, I'm sure not all of us would be that comfortable to host a person of the profile of the president of Rwanda. This is an opportunity that you had not once, right here on Contact FM, when the president was hosted here in this particular radio station. And maybe today, or this could be that question, or that opportunity for you to answer this question of what was going through your mind when this invite was made to the head of state. He accepts it, and the person who's picked to interview him is you, Charles Haba. What was running through your mind? And is there anything that you've never told anyone that you may have done during that span of time of the time you met the president in studio to interview him and the time that you all stepped out of the studio? Is there that particular thing? So too many questions in one question.
Yes,
but then you can pick.
I'll start with the simpler one, and that is first of all, I think I have bragging rights of having been probably the only one who hosted him thrice, and thanks to Contact FM that was able to happen. It was extremely humbling experience for me to see that the person of the head of state is a normal human being, and when you go to a commercial break, you can have an ordinary conversation.
What is it that he told you that is ordinary?
No. What would happen during the breaks would be a continuation of what we've been talking about live on air, but only at this time we're not on air, and therefore you can continue exchanging and so on and so forth. And also humbling, because quite often you see that at public rallies and public functions, when somebody is put on the spot, say for argument's sake, a mayor, he's interrupted while he's, in between his explanations.
By the president.
Even by the people, even quite often by the people. They are ululating, they're doing that. And here you are, you're being allowed by the most important citizen to put your point across with ease, and you actually almost go into an argument, and it is your point versus his point,
yes.
and it is allowed to go on, and that was extremely humbling. So when you come into the studio with airs that this is that the president is a person who's very domineering and he will not accommodate divergent opinion, it is actually not the truth, because he listens and he takes on to what you have told him. But on a lighter note, one of my most memorable experiences is I happened to be traveling in South Africa a week prior to one of the shows, and I landed across a very expensive designer pair of sandals.
This is in South Africa?
Yes. I bought it dearly, and I said, the first time I'll wear this pair of sandals, expensive and nice as they look, will be when I'm hosting the president. I step into the studio, and the closest of the presidential guards tells me, "Shame on you! You have brought slippers to meet the president."
and the expense of
I looked at my $100 slippers,
and you felt embarrassed.
I felt extremely embarrassed.
Okay.
I felt extremely embarrassed. I looked around. The only guy who I thought could switch shoes with me was the Malik, and you can imagine Malik's height is the tall producer at that time. He looked at me and said, "Chief, unless you put both feet in one shoe, that's not gonna happen." And I had to rush back home and get a pair of shoes and come back.
You did?
Yes, I did.
With the expensive shoes, you took them back home?
I took my expensive shoes. I think I hated the sandals from that day.
So talking of that, being close to this very powerful person or this very important citizen in your own description and posing your questions, and what is that moment that you probably feel like there was this question that I asked him that probably I shouldn't have even asked? Did you have such kind of a moment where you felt... some journalists feel that sometimes, and others don't. When they ask a question and later on they feel like that was just an embarrassing question to ask.
Unfortunately, no. There's none that I can really remember. Honestly, Eugene, there's none that comes quickly into my mind. But probably
Maybe the opposite?
Yes.
The opposite, like the question that
I should have asked.
And you never asked.
That I should have asked. There was one particular moment when the studio was moved from the offices of Contact FM and taken to the president's office in Kachiru. And at the end of the show, I was driven to ask if I could get the opportunity of peeping at into the executive office. I held back. And then at the end of the show, when everything had ended, I asked one of his close people if it was an appropriate thing to ask. He told me, "You are extremely stupid. You should have asked that on air and gotten that golden opportunity to
get the answer for that."
Yeah, it was a lost opportunity. Yes.
So if you were to meet him again, that question definitely you would put it as...
Probably I've been left. It's not that I have been there, but I think that was a lost opportunity, and more opportunities have come
along the way.
Yeah.
As we close on that chapter of Charles Haba, the radio personality or talk show host, today, there is debate already in some quarters on the issue of the president's term limit. You know, when there are those who are saying, you know what, the president should continue. There are those who are saying, you know what, the Constitution says he should not continue by 2017. As a person or as a senior, if I could put you to that particular group of people, senior reporter or journalist or radio host, X, and ask you to weigh in on this debate, what would you say? What would be your opinion on this issue? Or this debate?
I said this to His Excellency the President on one of the shows, and I will repeat it today because I've said it also quite a few times in different fora. I think that call is to be made by the person of the president. Once His Excellency is in a position to publicly pronounce himself whether he's going to adhere to the calls of people who are asking him to run again or not, I honestly believe that it is his call.
You're a citizen who probably might have also an opinion in this situation.
What I'm trying to say is that I don't care whether my opinion matters
or not.
I don't care whether my opinion matters or not. I honestly am a bit indifferent on this issue. In as long as he decides. And the point is not whether he's going to decide or not. The point I'm putting across is that it is his call.
Whether he decides to go on or whether he decides to go back home, you don't care.
It is President Paul Kagame's call. And whatever he decides, I'm good with it.
You will support it, no problem.
Yes.
Okay. Let's jump off now and talk about this sporting activity that you love so dearly. You have it deep, close to your heart, and that is cricket. And in 1999, if I'm not wrong, you and your colleagues or friends, you set up the Rwanda Cricket Association. And it's more than 10 years later. And if you look back through the time, do you look back with a smile or a frown in your face? Do you feel like you've made strides?
Eugene, there's quite a lot to smile about, and I'm looking forward just before I move away from President Paul Kagame.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to President Paul Kagame coming to play a cricket game at our new international stadium that we're doing in Gahanga here in Chichuchiro. By the way, this year we celebrate 15 years of existence. And it's been a tough journey, extremely challenging, but with lots of good things to look back to. You know, first of all, cricket is a very new game, even 15 years down the road. On Saturday, we were at an AGM and an extraordinary annual general meeting for the National Olympic Committee. And we've been members of this organization for the last 12 years, I think.
12 years.
Yes.
But
let me finish my point. Even in the 12 years, the Rwanda National Olympic Committee cannot spell the word cricket right.
And that concern you because
no, it just shows me. It comes in to remind me that we still have a long way to go.
Exactly.
We have built an active membership base, and this cuts across players, students, umpires, scorers, coaches, administrators, and so on. Of more than 5,000 today. We're extremely humbled by that. We've built playing structures across primary schools, secondary schools, orphanages, universities, club level. We have all the national teams, senior men, senior women, under 19 girls and boys under 17.
So the grassroots is growing from the grassroots level.
Yes. And we're reaping very big from that growth.
Yes.
But we don't want to sit back on our laurels and say we are there.
Okay.
Because we still have a long way to go, especially in terms of popularizing the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because it's a big concern when we read from certain media houses or media outlets that this international stadium that you're talking about is actually being constructed or built from the contribution of cricket fans.
Yes.
Does that concern you? That probably I haven't seen anywhere. Maybe you will tell us that members of government or maybe ministries are not involved in
no. Let me correct that.
Yes.
And it's I'm glad you've asked it, because the land, the 4.5 hectares of land, was donated to us by the government of Rwanda through the Ministry of Sports.
Then after that is
that was the biggest. That is one of the most significant things. I mean, we were not going to play the game in the air.
True.
Yeah. So the government gave us the land for free. And we're extremely grateful for that. I know sometimes even some other sports journalists keep asking us, what is the government doing for you?
Yes.
What's the government doing for you? Why aren't they supporting the team? Why aren't they supporting the team when it's going abroad? Why aren't they paying for you this, paying for you that?
And you concerned about those issues?
For us, they've given us the most solid foundation we would only have dreamt of.
Is that enough you want from government?
It's not enough. It's not enough. But we're extremely grateful for that.
What more?
Because I am not. Let me just finish that point. Because I'm not too sure how many other people have gotten that lucky. But let me also. I don't want to miss this point. It's not only the land that is required to build the stadium.
Exactly.
We've gone about an international fundraising drive. That has raised more than 600 million francs. And that is cash that is there at the bank. I need to mention that there was an organization that was set up. It's called the Rwanda Cricket Stadium Foundation. It's a British and Rwandan-based charity, which has stakeholders like the Ministry of Sports, the Rwanda Cricket Association, and a few other people. So that charity, that organization has been set up specifically to oversee the delivery of what will be arguably the best cricket ground in Eastern Africa and probably even Africa.
Okay.
Yes. So we've raised the money. We have fantastic patrons.
You're happy with what's going on so far?
We're happy with what's going on. We got our lease. We got we got our title towards Christmas. It was a fantastic Christmas present that the titles Natural Resources Authority gave us. The project is ready to roll. The architects are in full ignition. Hopefully in another 6 to 8 weeks, the project, the tractors will be on the ground
doing the construction, the groundbreaking.
Yes. But let me also say something about our patrons of the project, our patrons of the projects, and how we've been able to raise this money. It's extremely important that you think out of the box and also applaud those who have assisted us along the way. We've been extremely blessed to have patrons such as the British Prime Minister David Cameron, one of the greatest cricketers arguably one of the greatest cricketers of all time, Brian Lara, the West Indian, who's been here to Kigali as well, and other top British social, political,
coming
and media
to
personalities
give moral support,
to give us moral and sometimes even financial support.
Yes.
Sometimes we've had activities. A few weeks back we had one of the most crazy things you can imagine. Guys climbed on top of Mount Kilimanjaro and played a cricket match.
And the sad part is that didn't capture or was not captured in that particular way you're saying it by the members of the press. I mean, there wasn't much of that in terms of being out there to showcase what you're trying to picture right now, because I can imagine that kind of scenario. But we need to go, but I need to really talk about the issue of the real estate, which you also into, and there's been debate on the issue of whether the people in the real estate sector are being regulated properly. There are many people who are consumers of real estate products like house rent and everything like that, who complain of being, harassed by most people in the real estate area, especially agents, landlords, who ask for exorbitant amounts of money, which nobody follows up. So what is your take on that as a person who's in this?
The real estate sector is one of probably the widest sectors you can imagine, and I always tell people that everything you do in your life is all about real estate. There's nothing you can do in your life that is not about real estate. The food we eat is grown on land, which is real estate. The roof over your head is real estate. So this is one sector. The clothes we eat, the clothes we wear.
So you're not answering the question, Charlie.
The question, where I'm coming from.
Are you being well, regulated properly? Are you taking advantage of people who consume these products?
The point I'm raising, Eugene, is that there is still a lot of work for people to understand that is the most important sector in the market.
Okay. The fact
regulation
that it is ignored by people who need to regulate it, people in that sector seem to be taking advantage
of it. Even ourselves. I must say we have not been the best, and this is really across the board from builders. Sometimes you get into a brand new house and it has defects, and you have to manage those defects as a buyer of the property. You have to start fixing walls, cracked walls from day one.
So everybody is not well.
Yes, I believe there's still a lot of work to do. The agents, the builders. I'm not too sure how many borrowers of mortgages actually understand that mortgage contract before they sign it. There's still a bit of borrower education required. Yes, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
The fact that there are those who are unregistered property agents, and you as a registered property agent, I've not seen noise from people like you who are registered to fight against those who are doing it from the back door.
I'm not too sure whether that's that's the best solution to fight against them. When we set up REAR, the Real Estate Association of Rwanda, the primary objective was inclusion by training, and training that will aim towards professionalizing our trade. Now, over time, it is working. Some agents and some agencies have benefited from it by virtue of the fact that the market is slowly professionalizing itself. It has attracted giant names to come into the market. Regional and international brands like Brawl, Knight Frank, CBRE, and the others are coming into the market. They wouldn't have come into the market if it was as disorganized as it was when we were just starting 7 years ago. So I'm not saying that everything is so super that the international brands are coming in, but we are progressing.
All right, Charlie, it's time to wrap up, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of One-on-One today. I can see why probably you decided to put off the hat of being on air. And I'm hoping that one day we can also gather somewhere and share the spoils.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Just one more. Of course, you never throw away golden opportunity to do certain things. We have a regional trade fair that we usually do. It's annual, and it's coming up from the March 5th to 7th. It will be at Lemigo. It will be a property exhibition and a few education fora there for people to really come and see the best property deals that they can get. So it's something that you look like somebody who is renting, and I want to get you out of that, Eugene.
Invoice when we get out of here.
Yes.
Thank you, Charles.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We're so honored to have you right here. Of course, this is where we bring down the curtains to the show, the first of its kind in the year 2015. Expect more of such discussions and debate right here on 89.7 Contact FM. As always, I'm Eugene Anangwe. Let's keep conversing on Twitter. Use the hashtag 101RW, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Contact FM. Ushobora kubikuza kuri ATM za banki ukoresheje MTN Mobile Money.